All right, here we are. Project number 3. So this is our folk song arrangement of the song All the Pretty Little Horses. And you're going to basically play in an arrangement in Finale and then work with that, kind of build an arrangement from there, and then put that into Logic and do a remix and make a little sampler instrument that you're going to improvise with. So same idea as last time, a PDF of All the Pretty Little Horses, your arrangement, and a WAV file so I can look at it and listen to it. And then an MP3 of your finished composition in Logic. So the arrangement is a little bit smaller than last time. It's only 5 tracks. And here's the kind of method behind it. So here's the lead sheet you'll be working with. Probably if I play this, you know the tune, maybe you don't, but it's a simple melody. So what I want you to do is have one melody instrument that either plays this straight away, or you can play a version of it, you can quote it. Doesn't have to be exactly like we did with the transcriptions before, but I want you to use it as a basis, just to give you something to work off of. So one melody instrument, and you can download this off of Blackboard. You'll have one sound effect. So I'm going to show you how to do sound effects and how to map that onto the keyboard in Finale. You'll have one chordal instrument, and it must have 2 stabs because I want to show you how to use what's called the hyperscribe, where you can put in chords in 2 stabs with the keyboard. So keyboard, harp, anything like that. Actually, I should cross off guitar. Guitar is not 2 stabs. Oh, strike. One bass part, and you'll improvise that. You can use that. This song is in E minor, pretty friendly key. I think y'all can manage figuring out how to do something in E minor. If not, I can come help you out. And then one mapped percussion part. So 5 tracks in Finale. You should adjust the volume of each track so it's balanced. So you want the arrangement, even though it's kind of a experimental round, I still want it to be something, interesting to listen to. Then after that, we'll put it into Logic, and we're going to make a sampler instrument with samples that I give you. There's a guitar fuzz. This is a guy that recorded some harmonics on a baritone guitar. And so we're going to do that. And it's kind of cool because a lot of people use samples. People do it with their voices a lot, especially in pop music, right? They'll record, 10 different notes of their own voice and then map it onto a keyboard. So I'm showing you something that you could use later in a whole different variety of ways that kind of create some originality in the digital world. And then you'll make a new arrangement basically of that in Logic Pro. So kind of like we did last time. So let me show you the setup in Finale. So we'll open up Finale, and we will create. I might have to force quit. Hold on. Force quit so that we can open it up again. And we're going to use the setup wizard and just create new ensemble because we're going to actually build as we go. And I'm going to start with just that first melody instrument. I'm going to start with flute. I'm going to click add and click next. All the Pretty Little Horses arranger. You can just put your own name. Folk song, it's public domain. And you can see this, I'm going to pull this over here. It's in 4/4. So we already have 4/4. And go ahead and select E minor, which has 1 sharp. Specify the tempo. I gave it to you here. Try quarter note equals 90 is a nice tempo to work with because you'll be playing in the parts. You don't want it too fast or too slow. And there's 20 measures. Just set all that up. Click finish. And I'm going to show you a couple of things in Finale. When you adjust your playback controls, there's a little arrow here. I showed some of you this. You can open up a little more settings. Click leftmost measure so that it'll always go to the part that you're at in the score and not way back at the beginning. So that's a little trick there. We're going to use a thing called the Hyperscribe, and it's this keyboard looking thing with a little pencil. So I'm going to click on that. Human playback warning, just click OK. And we're going to go up to Hyperscribe and click record mode, one staff, because that's what we have for our flute. And then options. And go to quant settings, which stands for quantization. And this is where you can set how sensitive the computer is going to be to you playing this in. If you put it on like 64th note, it's going to do every little imperfection and it's going to look really weird. So let's set our lowest value to a 16th note. So it won't recognize any other subtleties, anything lower than a 16th note. So click OK. And OK. So to play in with the melody, you simply click into the score and it gives you 2 bars for nothing. And then you can start playing. So I'm going to open up this score so I can kind of look. And you can try a couple of times of this, but here we go. I'm going to click in. And you click anywhere in the score to finish. Okay, so that looks really wonderful. Actually, I goofed up because I was turning the volume up. I need to have my flute. I'm going to do Command-Shift-E. I'm going to turn my flute up so you all can hear it. And the playback in the room was too low. That doesn't look right? It doesn't look so good, huh? So maybe we set the I'm going to click in, click out of this. Whoa, there we go. You see my little trick? I was just clicking in and out of the measures with Speedy. I think we should put this on 8th note. We're going to do 8th note. Sometimes it works with 16th, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll show you another trick with the selection tool. Shift, select, clear all items, and start over. I'm going to delete my first measure as well. Okay, let's try it again. Hyperscribe, quant. Let's do 8th note, smallest value, and I won't be reaching over to turn up the thing. Do you see how sensitive it was to my my playing? Yeah, imagine it was on 64th. Okay, let's try again.
Well, these are one instrument.
Yes. And click on. You see, oh, I didn't have to play it exactly like the score on the last time. Maybe I don't want those 8th notes going down each time. So you can kind of create your own version of this now as well. Okay, so it's kind of a nice way to work with Finale. You can actually play parts in. I'm going to do Command-E to give me a scroll view. I like to enter in scroll view. So let's add now our other parts. As you're going, there's a shortcut to change the octave. Let's say, oh, wait, I want the flute up much higher. You can select the range of what you want to be higher and push 9. 9 takes it up an octave. 8 has it lower an octave. So that's a nice shortcut so you don't have to re-enter all the notes again. That's how you can work with that so that you can see that in the directions. To add more staves, I'm going to click on the treble clef icon, which is the staff tool. I'm going to double click and adds another staff. Now we're going to add a bass part. So I'm going to go into Windows Score Manager. See my score. Here's my blank staff. You can also just add an instrument here straight away if you don't want to add the staff in the view. I like to add the staff and then change the instrument, but you can just do that here as well. Let's do all plucked strings and whoops. I want let's do acoustic bass. All right, so acoustic upright bass. Cool. So now I'm going to check my quantization settings again. I think eighth note will be good. I'm going to improvise a bass part. Ooh, here we go. I had to push the keyboard a little more like assertively, like dong dong dong, because it was a little behind in the beginning. So you can try it a couple of times. Maybe I should can I do it one more time? Now I got the feel. I did this with electric bass before class and the touch was very different. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to change my mind. The acoustic bass is kind of like slow to the touch. So let's do something like fretless bass. There we go. Let's see if this one feels a little bit different. Okay, here we go. 2 bars for nothing. That's doable. Maybe I got a little too high here, so I'm going to select this, push number 8, take it down. There we go. That's a workable bass part. And hint as you go, Command Shift E, you can adjust the volume. That's your studio view in Finale. Maybe I turn the flute player up, bass down a little bit. Okay. Now to enter a chordal instrument, this is kind of a cool thing. So we're going to go into Windows Score Manager again. And I'll show you the other way to add an instrument. You can just add it in the Score Manager. All keyboards. Let's do the clavinet for Stevie Wonder. Okay, clavinet. And now this one, you're going to change the hyperscribe to split into 2 staves, right? Because we have 2 staves. And the split point, you're going to designate on the keyboards. Number 60 is middle C, but you can also designate a different note on your keyboard if you want. You can just push listen and like okay, I actually played C, so it didn't change the number. But that means anything above 60, which is MIDI note 60 is middle C, everything above that's going to be on the top staff, everything below that will be on the lower staff. So this one you can have fun. I might change the hyperscribe quantization to 16th notes so I can like roll some chords and stuff. And don't worry about how this one looks so much. This one will be more for effect when you go into Logic. So let's just try something. Okay, something like that. I'm going to push Command E and I'm going to just take my speedy through because there we go. It's doing this funny thing with that. Okay, well, I'm going to keep it in scroll view for now. Okay, so that's my chordal part. So do you see how it took all of those things and just popped them into the score? Now for the sound effect, this one, go to my staff tool, add another staff, just double click, go to Windows, Score Manager. And here you have to do sound effects under sound because sound effects are not an instrument. And so you go to sound effects and I'm just going to do, let's do seashore. There's an important step in the directions. Important, change the name so I know what your sound effect is. Otherwise, it'll just be blank in your staff. So if you pick seashore, be sure to write seashore. If you pick helicopter, write helicopter. So I know what that effect is. And if you want to go in and kind of see what's behind this mapping of the instrument, you can go to MIDI audio units bank effects into this ARIA player. I showed you how to do this before. And activate the channel. And then you can see, oh, you'll have to click into the track. There we go. Then you can see the seashore. Some have a higher timbre than others. So maybe I'll work with C and G, something like that. Okay. And this is more for an exercise, right? It's kind of goofy to put seashore in your arrangement, but this is to give you an idea if you had something that you really wanted to work with, whether you sampled it or it was someone else's, how you could map it in this. Okay, so let's play this in, and definitely don't worry about how this sound effect track looks. The notation might be whatever. It's just gonna be what you play in. All right, that's my seashore. Ooh, and then that'll be a track that you can work with in Logic too. It will completely change. You can plug all kinds of stuff into that track. All right, and one more track for your fifth track is a mapped percussion part. So we'll go up to Window, Score Manager, Instrument, and Jazz Percussion. You can really add kind of any percussion thing, but that's the one I like to add. And I'm going to drag, I want my percussion in the bottom, so drag that down to Score Manager. And under sound, you can plug in different kits here. So my suggestion is the Fusion drum kit. That's my favorite kit in Finales. Let's just go with that. And we're going to just generate, rather than like you did last time notating, there's all kinds of groove generators. You can go to plugins and go to scoring and arranging and click on drum groove. And I'm going to say yes, whole document. And there's a whole bunch you can try them out. I'm going to do Afro-Cuban. And this is important, place into existing staff percussion. Otherwise, if you plug it into flute or something, it'll be trying to play drum grooves on the flute. So plug it into that track with your percussion kit already installed and click OK. And then we can see how this sounds. And Finale has kicked me. Oh wait, sound through electron. Try again. Is it playing it through my Mac Mini? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm doing this very fast, like you'll want to go and do a little more sculpting than what I'm doing. But that's the idea, how you'll build it, playing it into Finale. It's a quick way to arrange and create something. All right, so I'm going to save. I forgot to save tisk tisk. Oh, whoops. Save. I'm just going to call this horses for now on the desktop. Great. And then you'll export this when you're ready. You'll export as a MIDI like we did before. So export the MIDI. Save. Yes, format 1. Click OK. Great. All right, so let's move over to Logic. And I'll show you first how to make this sampler instrument. So we're going to go to Logic Pro. And before you do that, be sure you have the guitar, fuzz, harmonics, wave file downloaded in Blackboard. And here's the trick. You right-click and download as linked file. If you just click on it, it's just going to open a player. It's just going to keep playing for you. So click right on the link, right-click, download linked file. And what it'll do is it'll force a download up here that you can drag to your desktop. So that's the trick with that. All right, so we're going to just open a new track in Logic Pro. And come over here, Logic. All right, it's on my other screen. Come and join us. Okay, great. And so it's very easy to get these harmonics in. You just drag it in, guitar, fuzz, harmonics. And when it asks if do you want to import the tempo information, be sure you import it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to chop them up and work with a grid on them. So I got these off of a guy that was showing a sampler project to me, and that's where I got this. He recorded his baritone guitar. And so we're just going to work with these, but these could be literally anything. You could take your instrument or your voice and create a file where you sing at regular intervals and chop them up and put them into a sampler thing. I'm going to delete this other track. So here we have the wave file of the samples. So the first thing I want you to do is we need a bunch of these tools. Do you see all these things above my playhead? They may or may not be visible for you in Logic. So you'll need to go to Logic, Preferences, Advanced, and all the way at the end, make sure Enable Complete Features is on. Sometimes that's not on for folks, and then they can't see the tools that I'm working with. So make sure those are turned on when you start. And then we're going to chop the samples up and kind of quantize them in some way. So there's some tools here. There's this point, we're going to use this pointer tool and the scissors tool. So those are the two tools you want to know. And we're going to work with this snap to grid thing. So first, we're actually going to snap to bar. And it's kind of, this is a little bit tricky to find, but basically what that's going to do is allow us to chop this up at regular intervals. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the scissors, and to chop everything at a regular interval, you hold down the Option key and cut. Woo! It cuts everything. There's all your samples. Woohoo! Then what we're going to do is we're going to change the length. So this is, we're going to add space and fades to it so that they sound nice. They're not just like a bleh in the, when we go to like work with them. So we're going to drop the tempo to 60, and you do that, but you press letter G. G stands for global in Logic. And we're just going to drop the tempo all the way down to 60. Keep on going, 60. Okay, do you see how that gave us some space in between the samples? Then we're going to go over here to the region settings, click more, and we're going to add some fades on these so that they sound nice when we're working with them. So my suggestion is to have a fade out of 500 milliseconds, which is half a second. and a fade in of 2. So just a really, really short fade in and a little bit longer fade out. And do you see how it created those little grayed out areas on the edge? That's our fade in and fade out for all of the samples. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bounce these to their own track so that all the samples exist in their own track all together as one audio, because right now we've got this space in between. So we're going to bounce in place. So make sure they're all selected. Yep, they're all selected. And we're going to go up to File, Bounce, Track in Place. And make sure this bypassed effects plugin is selected. This will put it
automatically puts the sample like that. You change the tempo.
Yep, it automatically trims them. Yep. Make sure bypass effect plugin is selected. Click OK, and it'll run through. And boom, we bounced it to a new file. Oh, alas, go back. Undo, Control Z. I forgot an important step. Do you see all this ugly space at the end? Very important thing I want to show you. Go to the end. This is your, this is called the play end marker. Make sure, just drag this over. Whoops, dragged it too far. I got to open up this a little bit more here for my working. So just drag this play end over so that, oh, it did it. It's fine. So that you don't have dead space at the end, right? That's just a good like audio production thing to do so you don't end up bouncing a file with a bunch of dead space at the end. So do that before you bounce in place. I meant to do that. Okay, we'll try again. We're going to select all these. We're going to bounce track in place. Click OK. And voila. Woohoo. Okay, so now we're going to mute this. This was like our working file to create a faded, good sounding samples. This is what the samples sound like, by the way. Okay, there's some nice space in between, a little fade, and they go through just actually the different harmonics on the guitar. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're gonna cut them again. We're going to chop them up so that when we put them in the sampler knows how to isolate them now. So Option, click, chopped them, second chop. And then we're gonna drag, select your file again, and I'm gonna go, I need my pointer. To put them into a sampler, you just grab them all, and this is kind of the trickiest part of the whole assignment. You drag them all down below, and it'll say create new track with the sampler. And you go, yes, and we're going to do an optimized map. And it's going to run through, it's going to create the sampler. It's not going to crash, beach ball of death, don't do it. Yes. Woo, did it. Okay, so now we have, I can play this whole thing. It mapped it chromatically onto my keyboard. I mean, imagine if you did this with your voice. It'd be so cool. You'd have like a whole instrument of your own voice. And I want to show you how to fine tune this now so you can add some other things. So we're going to add reverb, and we're going to add amplitude envelope and a little bit of delay to make it sound a little more, fancy. So we'll open up the mixer, which is X on the keyboard. X is for mixer. And here's our track. And we're going to go to audio effects, and we're going to plug in some reverb. And we're just going to do the generic Chromaverb stereo. And in the directions, add some decay, 5 to 10 seconds, and make it a little more wet. So if I'm going to add about 5 seconds decay. So when I push the keyboard, I don't have to hold it down, and it'll create like a beautiful note. Maybe 8 seconds. See. Okay. That's cool. All right, then in the instruments, let me close that. Here's my sampler instrument. You can go here. This is like our library. I'm gonna click on the settings, and this will open up this is basically all the settings for the sampler itself. And we're gonna go to synth, and we're gonna work with what's called the amplitude envelope. So that's down here in the bottom. And this is we're gonna just drag the release out to maybe 3-4 seconds. So there we go, there we go. Just as a release. And then we're gonna pull over the attack time. It'll kind of fade in here. I'm gonna pull this over a little bit. So kind of, wow, this kind of thing. You can mess with some other stuff if you want to, but these are just like a couple of real simple things to kind of get you experience working with a few settings. I want you to name your sampler so you can, find it in case anything happens. We're going to call it Harmonic Fuzz Pad. And you can also save this in the library. I think I have this in the directions. Where the heck did it go? Change the name, save library icon. Oh yeah, it's down here. So this is our little library, like where you found instruments last time. You just click save in the bottom. And we're going to save this harmonic fuzz pad as an instrument. So if you ever want to go back and, do another composition with it or whatever, woo, we have our harmonic fuzz pad. Cool. Just plug it in and go. All right, so now we're going to import the MIDI file that we used before. So we're going to go to File, Import, MIDI, our little finale arrangement. Horses, there you are. And import, I'm going to say don't import tempo information because we want it to match what we got going on in here. Use 24, that's fine. Okay, so it's the harmonic fuzz pad is just kind of there now. So like if I play this other stuff, I can actually play on top of it. But let's plug some interesting stuff in. You all help me plug some interesting stuff in like the 3-minute version. What should we plug in? The other ones are muted because those were our working files to create the sampler. And actually, I'm going to mute those because we use them to create the sampler. I'm going to leave them there just in case I want to go back for any reason. Something gets goofed up and I need to recreate the sampler. Don't delete these. Just mute them. Let them just hang out. They won't get bounced to your file if you mute them. All right, what should we plug in for the flute? Somebody give me a word that's politically correct. What?
Happy.
Happy. All right, we come moving shapes. Let's see what moving shapes is. Whoa. Okay. We're doing it just for now because we're going fast. Bass. Let's see what we want. Bass talk. Let's see what bass talk is. Okay. All right. Our clavinet. Let's pick some kind of keyboard instrument. Do they have a clavinet? I bet they have some kind of clav crate digger. What's up with that? Oh, that might be. All right, my flute's a little bit too much. Okay. Cool. All right. And then seashore. Do we have any kind of, sea of glass? Let's see what that is. Okay, just kind of like an ambient sound. That's all right. Turn that up a little bit. You can, of course, play with effects and volume of all these tracks too. Okay, let's have the other ones. Okay. And then our percussion. Let's put, you don't have to do a percussion track, but what should we do for this one? How about we'll just pick something, Outer Lands synth. Let's just see what happens if I plug that in.
Oh, this one?
Okay, I'm just gonna leave that one. All right, so here's where the sampler comes in. And pay attention to this part. Are you guys trying to figure something out?
Yeah.
Can you watch this part so I can finish? All right. So when you want to do the sampler, you have to actually record it. So we're going to record enable and click record. And it gives you 2 bars for nothing, just like the other one. And I totally goofed because my sampler was on mute. Okay, don't do that. Oh, I see. I got to unsolo things or it won't do it. Okay, here we go. Try again. Oh, actually, I think it did work, but I couldn't hear it. Oops. Okay, delete, try again. This is the tricky part. All right. Okay. And yay, I recorded my harmonic fuzz pad. Woo! Let's see how you like it and work with that. So that's the basic idea, how you would put all this stuff in. And then same idea as last time, when you want to do the file, bounce, project. And this, we were trying to figure out this PCM, but I think if you do just MP3, it's set, going to be fine, 24-bit, click OK. And yeah, that's the whole thing. So 5 tracks in Finale. You'll play in all the instruments. Make sure you label your staffs correctly and adjust the volume. Then you'll export that as a PDF and a MIDI file and a WAV file. You'll put your MIDI file into Logic Pro, create new tracks, build your sampler instrument, and a little improvisation. All right, let's get it. I'll take questions.